Hello there and welcome back to Drawing Inspiration. I'll be showing you how to draw Rapunzel from the Disney movie Tangled. One of the first things you'll notice is that I sped up the time-lapse footage quite considerably more than I would normally do. This project for me took a little longer than normal. No idea why, no explanation. I guess I just spent more time refining than I normally would. So rather than the usual 600 to 800 times the usual speed, I'm running at about 1200 to 1500 times the speed, which is quite a considerable leap. But I feel like the results overall weren't too bad. There are a few parts of the image that I'm still not 100% happy about, but some of that's due to the limitations of me using my drawing pad and not drawing directly onto the screen or a piece of paper. I'm actually hoping to save up and invest myself into getting either a 13-inch HD Wacom Cintiq or one of a similar caliber within the Huion line, which is considerably cheaper. I would prefer to go with Wacom because the quality of tablet is so much better. The accuracy of the pen, the lack of parallax, etc., all those little fancy things, tilt brush, everything, would make my workflow a lot faster. The Huion tablet would also speed up my workflow, but it would not give me a lot of future-proofing, which I tend to buy things to future-proof me. Another reason why I'm deciding Wacom over Huion is Huions have clear glass unless you use that sticky anti-glare screen protector, but then that creates a distorted image. But the Wacom has the actual glass itself as the anti-glare, which gives a more rougher texture. For me, I like the resistance coming from the screen onto the pen, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy my Wacom Intuos. As you can see on the screen, I have moved on quite a bit from the beginning part there. I've done some of the refining now, put in some details, changing around that mouth, as you'll see me do quite a bit. The reality is the images I've begun drawing on paper first in my sketchbook, and then after I'm happy with what I've come up with, then do it on the PC afterwards. I just find that refining stage I'm much more gifted with a pencil. So I'm finding the refining stage with the sketchpad and pencil a lot quicker than me trying to do it all on the PC. And I find that the images themselves are coming out more interesting as a result. So from this point onwards, you can see I'm doing my second refining stage, where I go over all my lines again with a different colour with the original picture in the background at a lower opacity. This way I can redraw over, change things I want to, put more detail in. It just helps me refine the image a little bit more. I wanted to add more visual interest by adding in the chameleon as her animal sidekick from the movie. I'm finding my images I'm wanting to put more visual interest. I wanted to put things that aren't just the basic image, but background, foregrounds, are the characters within the image. And as I expand, things will obviously get better. So you can see I'm moving on to my inking stage now. I'm just trying to make all my lines nice and smooth. Still rushing through fairly quickly. My workflow has gotten faster. Yes, I did spend more time on this, but I feel like I put more detail in, so it kind of justifies it overall. One of the things you'll notice that I'll do is that I'm finding gaps within the lines and then filling them in. That's for later on when I do my colouring stage. It just speeds up being able to use the magic wand tool to click and then go into the next layer and actually paint bucket the colour in as a block, basic colour. I was finding it's speeding up my work in the process. Like in the previous video, The Little Mermaid, which you'll see a little annotation at the top right now, this is my representation of what Tangled looks like through my own drawings, rather than actually what she looks like. I think the colours are slightly different, and some of the design on her clothes are actually different in the actual movie as well. A part of that is also to do with the discrepancies going from a 3D animation to a 2D cartoon drawing on the computer. One of the things you'll notice is that I mirror the image a lot. I've got it set up as a hotkey, so whenever I hit the F on the keyboard, it will just instantly mirror the image. That way I can see if things aren't looking right. If I kept looking at the picture the same over and over again, I might not see some discrepancies within the image. So not only do I get to see it from a fresh perspective, but also for my hand as well, to be able to, I can only draw certain lines or certain curves to a caliber in a certain way, and by flipping the image I can then do it that way rather than trying to go against to the top left, which for me, drawing from the bottom right to the top left line is a lot more difficult than drawing down from top left to bottom right. I mean, I just contradicted myself there, but the idea is to make it easier for me to draw. Here you can see I'm creating the colour swatches, planning out what colours I'm going to use in her image. Some of these I took from a memory, and some of these I picked up a picture from online, had a quick look, and I'm just hoping for the best that it turns out alright. A lot of this, when I start these things, I don't really plan them out. I'm like, oh, I'll do that, and then hopefully it will turn out all well, and normally it turns out okay, so I'm fairly happy with the results. For these bottom bits, because I didn't close off the line work, I couldn't just use the magic wand tool, and so I ended up having to paint it, going back to how I used to paint in all my pictures. But it's not an issue, it was just something that slowed me down only a few seconds, so overall, not too bad. Weirdly enough for me, doing the hair was actually the most satisfying part of the entire picture. No idea, it just felt right. Perhaps it's because Rapunzel is all about her hair, but it was just really nice to be actually finally able to colour it in. When I know Rapunzel's eyes are green, but there's just something wrong with them. I just couldn't get the colour right. I kept changing the colour. You'll see later on I used levels to try and change the colour again, but there was just something wrong with them and I just couldn't put my finger on it. Now we're moving on to one of my favourite parts of any drawing process, and that's putting in the shading and the highlights. No idea why I enjoy this, I just do. I just think it gives a more of a 3D, more realistic look to the usual cartoony. One of the perks of having digital drawings, I mean I can do this with my Winston Newton alcohol based markers, but not to the same degree. So overall, yeah, I really enjoy this process. After rubbing out my swatches, I decided I wanted to give her more of a woody background, like it spends a lot of her time in the movie travelling through a forest, or at least that's the parts that I remember. But then because I didn't actually do the lower half of her dress, I thought, how do I combat this? Well, I mean, it looked like she's standing in front of a bush. Now these aren't supposed to take your eye away from the picture, so I deliberately did them blurry to out of focus, so you'd be focusing on what she looks like. This is just another step for me trying to create more visual interest for the character. And here you go, this is what the final picture actually looks like. You can see I widened up her pupils a little bit. I thought that actually helped out. I think there was just too much green in her eyes. I think that was the biggest issue. And I might, if I were to do this again, draw the actual irises of her eyes smaller again. And maybe do bigger pupils. Just, they look a little bit frog-like, which I'm not too keen on. But it's okay. Overall, I'm actually really happy with this piece. And this is the end of the video. I really hoped you watched this little bit of a tutorial video. Obviously, if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to put the thumbs up. You can also click on the left there to subscribe, and in the centre there is my most recent video to go and watch. Of course, don't forget to comment as well for any suggestions or what you'd like me to do next. See you later.